site was how the plan has been submitted. Are there any observations? Okay, then what has transpired is that the site plan prepared by Horizon Engineering dated on 5/10/24 has been submitted for the board's review, showing the corrected setbacks, the parking and the drainage. Are there any comments about it? Has everybody had a look at that plan? Anybody want to see the drawings?
This is the older version. It's not the version
Okay.
that was passed.
There's a new one
Email.
has been submitted. It does comply with everything that we had requested at the time at the last meeting. So it appears to me that we are prepared to, so
Those were submitted electronically. Do you want hard copies here in the room when you vote? Are you gonna need to look at them this morning?
I had asked that 3 paper copies be provided for the board, full-size copies.
All right, we'll get those, Tara. They're not in the room right now, but we can get those.
okay, we'll do it
It'll
now.
take
Is it
just a few minutes and we'll
can do it.
have them here. Yep.
okay?
Yeah,
then
that's why I had asked for them so the board could have full-size in front of them on the table like they should.
All right.
the
And they are the site plans that were emailed to us, correct? I mean,
Yes.
that-
Yes.
yeah,
They were
okay,
submitted,
right.
yes, electronically,
Yes,
but they were prepared by
we've seen
Horizon.
them, yeah,
the,
yeah.
We'll get them for you. They'll be.
Yes, Craig had Horizons correct them the day right after your meeting.
yes. So we dealt with the setback problem, which was the particular issue. And then there was also the illustration of the 17 parking spots. There was illustration on the drawings of the drainage facility, the containment of water drainage on the site. So all of the items that were specified in the site plan review regulations were dealt with and presented on these drawings. So I don't think anybody has any objection, but we'll bring the drawings here and do it formally as required.
The only correction we had asked for was the setbacks.
Yes. Well, while we're waiting, are there any other comments from the board? No? Okay.
I guess, Bill, I have, certain, Greg is, aware of this too, but I just want to make sure that when we look at the lighting for the area, that we're conscious of the impact of lighting. You know, we've had an awful lot of development here and we just keep adding lights. to the
Yes, more and more
valley.
lights.
Our ambient lighting in the town is, like, our dark skies going away. It'd be nice to make sure that whatever we do is, both from a safety perspective, I think that's a big concern. We want to make sure we address that. But also that it accounts for, you know, trying to keep as much of that light out of the sky as possible.
Yes.
I know we have code related to that, but I feel like when I
Well-
look around at night right now,
Mhm.
there's an awful lot of lighting that seems to be more aggressive than it needs to be.
Yes. Yes, I've heard the comment that you can see Waterville Valley from outer space. That it's a matter of downlight or down shading that directs the light onto the road surface.
Just a caution about discussing the merits of the application before you voted to accept it as complete.
This is more of a comment from our sidewalk.
The Dark Skies Working Group, we can make it more general. What's the status of that effort
Stalled.
Yeah, that's a good word, stalled. That is where our assignment was to find a worthy consultant. And we're still asking other people, consultants to show interest in the Waterville Valley project. And when we find somebody who does, to discuss with them the cost of retaining them to help us with the enforcement of the regulations which are in existence. That is to review, I wanted to do an assessment of the lighting that exists in town now, to the extent to which it violates the ordinances that were passed, I think, in 2018. And then to determine what we could do about it and how much it would cost. Cost being, say, top of the list.
Am I allowed to make a comment on that? Because I'm part of that group.
I suppose so, until the drawings arrive.
Until the drawings arrive.
Once the drawings arrive,
But,
get the act, yeah.
One of the issues that we have with specifically some of the hotel parking lots, for example, is that what we have determined is that they have a grandfather situation. So that even though they may be not in compliance with the current regulations, the way the ordinances are written, they have a grandfather clause. And I think that's important for us, unfortunately, to recognize.
Lock the door.
I think we'll silence these machines. It's a good idea. Now, the problem with the grandfathering is, well, we've discussed it at the group. And that it's a matter of negotiation. That is, the property owner could refer to the grandfather clause that's in the regulations now and say, I don't have to do anything. On the other hand, we all live in this community and we want the dark skies to be maintained. So we're trying to work with principally the owners of these parking lots as to how we could come to a negotiated settlement. And that's the answer to your question, Mike. It's
The people that I spoke to, those hotels, for example, are willing to do things.
yes. But there's a limit to what they're willing to do.
Well,
At their cost.
Yeah.
right, the answer, as my friend at the end said, cost is the issue. They're willing to do almost anything that does not affect their safety,
Mhm.
as long as someone other than them
Yep.
pays for it.
So we'll spend some time,
Change the regulations.
we'll spend some time talking to them about it. And they get the only other point, the only other area of flexibility is the regulation itself.
I have a legal question on that, which I asked somebody. And that is I don't think we can take away the grandfather clause once it's in there. That might be something, Mr. Mark?
You can't ever pass a zoning amendment that applies retroactively.
That's what my counsel told me. But. Yeah.
The language in the ordinance is irrelevant. Zoning ordinances can't apply retroactively.
So basically, I spoke to some people. And there are solutions that can be done. For example, and the one right down the street from me at Black Bear. It can be done. There are things that can be put on it. We're probably talking about a small, if there is such a thing, a small 5-digit number. All right, I don't think there is such a thing as a small 5-digit number.
Wait, Mike, are you talking for one parking lot? Or are you talking for the whole town?
I'm talking about Black Bear. In other words, because what you'd have to do is, you have a current situation where there are things, those things can't, they're just putting a diffuser on the sides of them probably will not work based on those lights. So that what you have to do is also change all the bulbing and probably, what they seem to say is also potentially change some of the electrical that were done it, but I'm not an electrical engineer. But there are things that can be done. If, you know, if the town wants to come up with $20,000-$30,000. There are things that can be done for a lot of the town. You know,
Yep.
Well, and written
That-
in the ordinance is if you change the fixture, you now have to comply.
Yes,
that's true.
But that's
For
not part of
example, the Black Bear lights that are in there, which went in. Anybody know when Black Bear?
Probably 20 years ago.
80s.
Yep.
Those lights haven't had to be changed in 35 years.
Hmm.
Which surprised the crap out of me, so.
I think my thing is that we have an opportunity with any new development.
So
Influences based on the ordinance. I'm not sure if it's, there's an awful lot of properties in town here, and I'm particularly passionate about this, so I pay attention. I'm walking around out there at night, not skulking around, but just.
Just to be
But
clear.
you want it dark.
I wanna see the dark sky.
Just to be clear, I'm not assessing the
Walk around
problem.
in the
Yeah.
dark.
I saw a place last night, I won't say where it was, but I can talk to Chief Noyes about it and get his perspective. You know, they can leave every light on in their house if they want to, there's no regulation about that, but when they add to their property and then put spotlights and floodlights and other lights around that and leave every one of those things on at the same time, it makes it look like Disney World. And I don't think that's appropriate, and then maybe it's just a conversation with the property owner about, hey, you know, it'd be nice if you didn't just leave all this stuff on. It's nice that you can afford to do that, but, you know, at the end of the day, you're impacting the rest of us
Yeah.
who enjoy that. Maybe not everyone cares about this.
Well, and that is in the ordinance, that like you can't have upward facing lights and things like that, so you would complain to the
Code
officer-
enforcement.
Code enforcement, thank you, officer. He would go out, take a look at it, finds they're in violation, he'd issue an ordinance violation, and then after that, a certain amount of time passes. If they haven't fixed it, there's a fine.
I think
My
I'm just worried
understanding.
about like furthering my reputation as the grumpy old.
You can use this, what's the app? You can use the app and do it anonymously.
But
Is
it's,
that anonymous
But,
guy again?
But the point you're making is why we require a lighting plan for all future development as part of the application.
So I guess, yeah, okay, I don't know, I wonder whether or not we can't move this other, the reason why we're here along. And if we get to where we need to look at the plan, we go ahead and do that. There's an awful lot of people from the public here that have things to
Don't,
say.
trying to follow the procedure and to do what is required by
She'll be here.
the site plan regulation. Yeah, otherwise I would have done it 10 minutes ago.
Cause if there's, I guess if there's a question that's not related to the setback, we can certainly answer it with one of the old plans, right?
I don't think that there are, because, you know, we talked about parking, we've talked about drainage.
Can we just move to the public hearing?
No, we have to
No,
complete
we can't do
we
that.
have to vote on the completion of the application. And we can't vote on that until we are satisfied that the changes that we requested of the applicant have been effected. And we've been told they have, we've seen it electronically, that those changes have been made. But we don't have paper copies in front of us.
It is procedure. That's we're stuck with it, Alan. It's the procedure.
Well, I've got all morning.
Apparently.
I
Some,
get hungry at 12.
That's why.
yeah, that's right. No,
why you volunteered to be on the planning board.
So you could be hungry at 12.
Yeah. No snacks, no coffee at meetings. That just makes them go longer,
Yeah.
Water only.
if that,
Hey, what's in it?
coffee, just coffee. We just say approximately. So,
Yeah, that's right. It did.
You have.
The notice does say approximately 9 o'clock.
right,
Hey, Kat, you want an agenda? Doesn't-
Sure.
we have. Oh, you want another one?
We have an extra.
Yeah, there's no.
This is the only item on the agenda.
It is. That's the only reason we're having this meeting.
That's right, special meeting.
I forgot to for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Non-business wise, which.
Yeah.
Margaret. Did you guys do anything special for Anne Whitehouse Day? The 20th? We actually all celebrate. You guys put it in.
We did.
Anne Whitehouse Day is May 20th.
Wow, that's right. We have a number of
We
those
said
days.
happy
Right?
birthday to Mike Aronson.
Is that his birthday?
Yeah.
I don't know how many people we have as days.
I know, I'd love to see the list.
Well, but we should actually, we should, yeah.
No?
Unofficial calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a
It'll add-
online calendar. I mean, what's it take to put
Yeah.
Ann White House
We
Day?
don't have skateboard.
Yeah, annually,
Right.
like.
That's
done.
Look, we heard that for years.
It's like, you know, Craig was absolutely right. when
My
he
mom
said
does not remember, but.
that It is the non-resident, the
I think
transient.
I read the proclamation.
If he's like I said,
At the golf club.
we are on the fourth.
Yeah.
So sometimes, you know, we
That's
get
the last time I was at the golf club.
drunken mayhem occurring there. Sometimes I drive the cart right off the road and comes into the bushes on our property. Yeah, and we get beer bottles and beer cans and all kinds of other crap in the.
Is golfing on the Freedom package that people get? You know, like they. can
Yes,
go to the-
it is or it was.
Still?
I don't think it is. I'm not sure it's still there.
Hey, Craig, is golfing still on the Freedom Pass or whatever it's called?
No, and I think that helped a lot with respect to the,
Fewer,
the noise.
it makes us shooting fewer balls in our yard. I thought that was COVID.
The casual out of town golfers.
Yeah, we haven't had it.
Casual out of town golf.
Yeah. No, that my golf ball count's going down.
I know, mine is too.
The rate of.
Well, that's, you remember we talked about that fourth hole?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And one of the improvements we've made, definitely cut down on the golf balls.
I think it did,
Yes.
but also cut down on the number of.
Good enough.
So there's. Okay,
That's great
Okay.
start.
gather around.
Yeah, one will be fine.
All right, can we?
Proceed.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so here we go with the,
Take one over here.
It just.
That's all
only-
Yes,
They got a couple.
these are all, this is stapled together.
yeah, she's coming with
There's two
more,
or
but
three more coming.
if you want to get this over with, you can, I'll look at this one.
Mike.
I'll move it. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Would you like to look at this, Margaret?
Sure.
Gather around. That's. I remember, I read it. It's the release and poodle.
Does anyone want to look at it, paper, before we move forward?
So this is the.
I was fine with it.
Yep.
This is now dirt.
The setbacks on Snow Creek.
Yeah.
Setbacks.
Right, so there's
Boulder path.
25 feet from the road.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is there's a drainage, well, tank, whatever you want to call it, there,
Mhm,
and the delineation of parking.
mhm. But that's where the courts are going, right? There.
So, yeah, so that they can.
So
On another page, it shows where the courts are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there,
Margaret, Margaret.
Mhm.
let me count them off.
Mhm,
18,
mhm.
drainage.
Mm.
Those are
Yeah,
the stipulated issues that. And the carport, and the new shed.
Which ones are the bathrooms?
bathrooms are gonna go over
over
here,
here.
I believe.
Yeah. That's the increase. Anybody else want to look?
There,
Is there one?
or something? No, I have no idea what that S indicates. But it's at the center of the line, so.
Yes.
I think it's a five. Maybe it is an S.
It's an S.
Okay. Let's see.
And
what
it's
the-
25 feet
But there's a button
from
up
the
there
edge,
in front of-
from the edge of the continuous use way. So it's this distance here.
Close up.
Mhm.
This one's gonna be super flat. Because it's gonna be.
Fenced.
It's a pocket.
We'll see. I think Craig will have some discussion with.
And this-
Affected
and this-
community.
And this would be. wall, this one.
Yeah.
Is there a wall between the two
No.
courts? No. So this would be wall off as well. So this is the only place you got a 4 foot
Yes, where
fence.
the noise goes that way.
Yeah.
Craig, is there gonna be like a low fence between the two pickleball courts?
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, all would be.
Is there any other discussion about these drawings?
No.
No.
Tara will be able to. Share that. I just gave her permission if you want to put it up on the screen while you.
In the public hearing, but I guess at this point, you're looking for a motion,
There it
Mr.
is.
Chair?
Yes, the next step in this procedure. There are no further comments, no further deliberation. Yes, is there a motion? Is there a motion to accept that this plan is complete?
I will make that motion.
Seconded.
All in favor? To accept the plan as complete?
Do roll.
We'll do a roll call. Okay, Alan,
Alan Burke, why?
Margaret Turner, I.
Nancy Knight, aye.
Bill Spence, aye.
Morgan Demey.
Catherine Brennan, I.
Rich Rita, aye.
Okay, motion is accepted, that the plan is accepted as complete. Good, now we can open the public hearing.
Hoorah.
All right, I declare the public meeting open. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to make comments?
Right.
Yes,
Point of, I think we should give the applicant a
That is
opportunity to
true.
make a
The
presentation if
applicant
he so
has the-
chooses.
the floor is now open to the applicant.
I want to thank you very much for all coming. I want to thank the area neighbors for coming too. I think the purpose of site plan review is to make a project a little better than what is proposed. I'm amenable to, I already gave out a presentation. I don't think I have to repeat myself here too much. I believe that we can come to an agreement and put on some conditions that are acceptable for everybody, at least to start. with, I'm amenable, one of the conditions is to revisit this entire project by site plan review again in maybe 12 months or 18 months. I don't know if you want to go, how much we can get this season into doing, and maybe next year from September or something like that, or whatever. Obviously, every business that I've ever been involved in is an ongoing moves, it changes, if Miranda's, and if you want to be successful, you need to follow where that business is going. And that's kind of the problem sometimes with these site plan reviews or permitting process. We're permitting something that we don't have 100% experience with. We do have our experience at other locations and other conditions and things like that, and we've done the best we can with that information available to us. But I do believe that things can kind of Miranda a little bit and change. Life does change, and I think that we all know, we're all old enough to know that at one point snowboarding was taboo. You know, now we have snowboarding and it doesn't seem like that big a deal. But that's a perfect example. At the time when snowboarding came out, everybody was against it. And now it's not that big a deal. So I think it's somewhat in that ballpark, or at least. Anyway, I would like to open it up. I will answer any or rebuttal any suggestions that the public makes. I would be happy to rebuttal anything that you asked me to do. I don't know if I will get into a I don't want to get into a back and take on this, at least not on a public hearing. All right, and if you're all cool with my previous presentations, just sit down.
At this point, I invite members from the public to make their commentary. Barry.
Yeah, mine is questions. Does Craig have an idea of what he's mentioned hours of operation, but he hasn't really been specific, hours of operation and days of the week? My next question is, it's only open to members today. If he finds that not too many members are signing up, will he then open it up to the public, either residents or non-residents? That's my question.
You want me to rebut?
Yes.
Yeah, just as a point, when you come up to the microphone, tell us your name, please.
I do propose to do it for members. I'm just making a condition of site plan review at any time we change that from non-members to a retail business. I would be subject to having to come back to site plan review and get a new permit.
Yeah, those are the regulations, Barry.
Right.
As a matter of this, we will review the conditions. I would prefer to leave that portion open in the public meeting, but we'll review the conditions that pertain to the acceptance before the board votes. But one of the conditions that's already been established is that the pickleball courts will be open from.
I propose that we open
find
at
it in
9
here,
o'clock
but-
in the morning. We have left the closing part up in the air a little bit. I am amenable to some concerns about the closing part. As we all know, light stays lighter during certain times of the year. There will be no lighting on the courts themselves. So at certain times, you're just not gonna be able to play out there. I am somewhat amenable to that. As far as days of the week and whatnot, we are literally physically only open 200 days. And even like today is a questionable day, whether we even should be open. So we are literally only open, and that includes 160 days in the summertime and there's 40 to 46 days in the wintertime. This hearing is about wintertime too. So we're literally only open at the moment. We counted up our days and we're a little over 200. And that's what we do out of 365 days a year. That's what we're doing.
Right, but the pickleball courts are open at the time when the golf course is open.
Technically, that's how we're gonna run it, yes. Unless something changes and we agree to some change, that is correct.
Okay, and then when this is deliberated, that we're doing so based on the conditions that have been established. And one of those conditions is that the pickleball courts are open from 9, what it says is at sundown. So, you know, we reached the point where it's the same with golf. That is, we're not expecting golfers to be out there playing at night. So that at sundown, it's closed and it's only open during the time when the golfing season is open. Does that satisfy your question? And if it changes, then we have to go through the site plan review process again.
Bill, I
Can't do.
haven't heard any such conversation among the planning board. Can we discuss that more after the public comments?
Certainly.
Just let them talk.
Yeah.
Because my question would be what the basis would be for that as a condition under the criteria in the site plan regulations.
Okay. Are there any other public comments? Mike?
I apologize, Craig, because I have a list.
Say who you are.
Yes.
Mike Copel, 11 Devereux Way. I did a count on Saturday between 1 and 4 when I was either reading in our sunroom or outside. I did not count dogs and I did not count baby carriages. I didn't know it was in the baby carriage. What I found interesting is in those 3 hours outside of our house, and I would assume that going down past the pickleball courts would be at least that many, maybe more. And there were 78 human beings that went in front of our house during that time. I think that's important when we talk about the noise that pickleball creates. Craig, you said something which I didn't know, which is, I always like it when you tell me something new. That you were going to try and have the reduced pickleball sound rackets be required or asked for, or whatever term you used at the courts. I think it's really, really important. I did a study, did a lot of reading about sound. As you mentioned, sound in the valley travels, just keeps going around and around. Right? And the sound of a current pickleball court, depending upon who the players are and how aggressive they are, for anything within somebody mentioned 900 feet, the sound at 250 feet is roughly the sound of heavy construction. All right. We have to find a way to mitigate that, and I know you and I have talked about that. I've read a lot about it. I know you've read a lot about it. Right now, there ain't a whole lot of ways that you can mitigate it. We have to find a way because it's just plain disruptive. I don't know how many feet the courts are from the proposed sidewalk. But it's surely less than 100. So that all the people that walk by that, and that's a major walkway for the town. And as I understand the core group, which I'm not on, but the core group, we are encouraging the town to be a walking, biking town. I have a question. Do you want to take notes? You want me to keep? You can talk me whatever you want. Will there be seating? You have a snack bar that you're talking about putting in? Will there be seating for that snack bar? Or is it just going to be take it and walk away? I think that's an important distinction. I didn't see anything on the plans that I had. I haven't seen the plans that were just distributed. I don't know if there's anything about that on there. I don't know if that's something that would be required if you want to put seating out there. That's somebody else more knowledgeable than me can answer. I am very concerned with the lighting. Lighting is a huge problem in town. Lighting / safety is also a huge problem. I know why the lights that you currently have in the garage are there. I understand the safety. I understand kids will be kids and all the rest of that crap. I'm very concerned with the lighting that you're gonna have there in the parking area. For the people that live across the street, like me. How are you going to make sure that the only people that play on those courts will be the members that, I guess you're charging them $1.50 or something for whatever, that's up to you, that's your problem. But how are you gonna make sure that only those people are playing on those courts to mitigate the number of people playing there? The things that I saw said that you're taking down a significant number of trees, and that those trees will be things up to 6-inch in diameter trees. 6-inch diameter trees are pretty decent sized tree. I would love to see if you would go around, and I don't want to put a yellow ribbon, that has a misconception, but a green ribbon or something on those trees that are coming down, because I think it's important for the board to understand which trees are going to come down and the effect of taking those trees down on other people's line of sight.
You said only one.
Only
What
one
did I
dead
say?
tree. Craig said only one dead tree was gonna come down.
I think all the other trees that are down are already down.
We should let him just say.
Okay, go ahead.
Let Rick answer his
But
question.
he can answer that.
Okay.
If that the only tree that's coming down, that's not what it said on the things that I saw.
No, but what I want you to do is enumerate your questions.
I am. The crossing between where you sell is Chief Noise still? Well, it's a different.
He's on.
Yeah,
He's on.
We just need to hear the
Right,
question.
my question with regard to the crossing from the ticket office over to the tubing. And I know you care about people, and I know you care about kids, and I don't want this to sound as if you don't. I'm concerned that it is very different than the summer when people can clearly see the roads are pretty much dry and people can stop reasonably well. We all know that here in the valley, we can have situations where kids are tubing and there can be an inch of snow more or less on the roads and or ice. And stopping is not as well done as it is now. I am very concerned with the safety of everyone, especially children. I mean, you and I are old, it doesn't matter. But I'm really concerned about children. We see children all the time. Very hard to control an 8 or a 9 or a 10-year-old boy to make sure they continue holding their parents' hand as they run across that road. I don't know how we control that. The lighting that you're talking about doing has clearly got to transcend the entire width, at least, of that road. And such that someone that's driving at dusk, because I don't know how late, because I know you have lighting on the Tubing Hill. And you go until what, 9 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock? All right, so that basically there can be some dark area in that area. We really have to make sure for the safety of everything. My concern after talking to council is that if the planning board approves it, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, right? If the planning board approves it and some child gets hurt, it is possible that that family can come back to the town that approved that situation. All right?
It's already been approved.
Huh?
It's already been approved. We're doing.
I think you just. make
No,
a
the tubing has been approved, but moving the ticket office hasn't. I'm saying that we have to make sure that the safety is taken care of. I'm just saying my concerns. And I'm not saying you don't do it. I'm saying these are my concerns. I think that, as you said, this is going to be a limited thing. I'd like to see the planning board put a condition on there, if that's possible. I don't know if that's legal or not, to have no tournaments there. All right, tournaments also bring in more people who look at everything else, and it's a fun thing. I play in some tennis tournaments, but I think that's not your intention. all right, and you understand. My last concern, and I apologize for taking all this time, is I've spoken to some people and depending upon the number of trees that come down and the visibility of the parking and the lighting of the parking and this noise that would progress to the surrounding people, it may have a negative effect on the value of the adjacent people's property. And I think that also has to be taken into consideration by the planning board as to what that is. I had somebody talk about it. I think that's just something that planning board has to take into consideration. Those are my, I apologize for taking long. Okay.
Thing, because you didn't enumerate them, so give him
a
list.
I will
Yep.
answer and rebuttal anything that you guys would like me to read on his list. I'd be happy to do
Okay.
which one, or if you don't want me to do some of them. that's
No.
fine too.
I will open right now what I have are 8 points from,
Do you want to rebuttal on all 8?
and if you are
right.
prepared to do so, I
Yeah.
open the
And
The
number
floor.
1,
traffic.
we're not anticipating any generation of any increased traffic. The traffic that we have now is congregated in one spot. We do have people walking from Town Square to the clubhouse in the winter time. Do cross over 2 roads in a 4-way intersection with limited sight lines. We've talked to Chief Noyes about sight lines on Boulder Path. We can put in some lighting. It will be controlled by us, meaning we'll flip a switch on and off. As you all know, the Tubing Hill is well lit up and it's more visible at that point or that intersect at Boulder Path than it is on Valley Road. I can't tell you the amount of people that come into the clubhouse in the wintertime and say, where's the hill? This will help with that congestion. I believe that the crossing one street on Boulder Path or parking, we're gonna integrate some parking on Boulder Path with the new design of Boulder Path anyway. Will be much less of a problem than what is there today. One of the things was to change the congestion. That's partly the problem with it. Number 2, what was number 2?
Number 2 is noise mitigation.
We're gonna try to mitigate the noise as best as possible. I have be lying to anybody if say it was 100% quiet. Short of not doing it, I guess. But there's other noises that we generate that are generated in the area. He's right, there is a tremendous amount of foot traffic on that road. Which is kind of cool. And I think it should be addressed in our master plan and in our redesign the road. I think it should all come into play at that time. I don't know anybody that it will be a noise issue at certain ports and certain times. I don't know if that will stop people from walking up and down that street. It's one of the more visible streets. It's one of the more traffic streets personally. You get up towards, the school or the athletic center, there's less people walking. There are more people going from the Town Square or the community center toward Osceola, let's say. And I think one of the reasons was to take this building, which was a maintenance garage, and kind of tweak it. And I call it a very valuable piece of corner. And I would like to take advantage of that at the same time, make it something that we could all be proud of. And this is one way of doing it, is to make it more user-friendly building than what is in the previous deal there. So that's, all right, so number 3.
Lighting.
Lighting, there are 2 sodium lights on there right now, which are for our security, basically. We are putting a carport on one part of the building and the lights will be going down at that point. The one on the corner will be going down. We'll replace those lights and that can be a condition of site plan review at this point.
Four was how to limit the number of people using the pickleball courts.
About seating snack bar.
Snack bars are generally not required to have seating. That's why you call them snack bars, and there's a takeout scenario. We were gonna have a couple of picnic tables out there. not serviced whatsoever. There will be trash service available, obviously, on the site. I don't anticipate people hanging out there personally.
But you
We're
have
not
seating
gonna-
or not seating?
Picnic tables or seating, and I can actually see people walking and stopping. On picnic tables. You can make a condition of that too, if you'd like. I think there should be some seating at the pickleball courts for people waiting to get onto the court versus off the court, whatever. I don't think it should be a high number. We could put a number on it. The food laws say on takeout, there is basically no seating requirements. So that's what we follow those rules. I'm amenable to somewhat on the picnic tables thing. I think there should be some picnic tables out there for people to stop. Period.
Next is only those who are members.
Yes, it's no different than the golf course. You know, once in a while I'll catch somebody jumping on the 7th hole that's not a member and start playing like they own the place. You know, and we can see what's going on. It's literally 35 acres. We can pretty much control it. We do have problems occasionally on the golf thing where we have somebody that just jumps on and wants to play. I have gone down to the 8th hole, which we're talking about in front of and people are chipping away at 8 o'clock at night, like it was a driving range. They're non-members. I don't know. I try to control it as best I can. I think the beauty of the whole is that we are a residential neighborhood. And if you're a resident of the neighborhood and you see somebody out there doing something that probably should not be doing and not a member, you need to talk to me and call me. We do have some neighbors that will call me on certain items, and trust me, I'll run right out there. I'm usually there almost every day that it's open. As far as, you know, people just jumping on these courts, the tennis courts are not manned that much either, and they have signage up there. I think it works for them. We will definitely have signage saying that it's a private member course anyway, you know, pickleball courts anyway. As far as somebody breaking the law, you know, it happens. But trust me, I want my money.
Can I just respond to that? There are signs all over the tennis courts. These are private courts. Members only. If it's written big enough, people see it. Most people will respect that. The few that don't.
Yeah, there's not much I can do. I could try.
And it's tennis.
It's not manned. They're manned they're not manned very much. They're not manned today.
The tennis is.
It is, tennis is,
It's not manned today.
but it is though.
We're manning it too. We can see those pickleball courts from our clubhouse. We are gonna do it through tea times and whatnot, so we're gonna man it, basically. We're on site. Just like the tennis clubs on site.
Tree removal.
There's one dead tree there. We're gonna clean up some of the, I think what Michael's talking about is stuff that is closer to his property. There's some weeds, tree weeds that are in there that need to be taken out because they just attract all kinds of junk. We'd like to re-landscape that corner. What we're talking about is a lawn area where those white pine trees are, and putting a split rail fence on that corner to make it more attractive and not have people just walk through the woods.
But your answer is you're not taking down more trees.
On the pickleball area that we looked at this morning, there was one dead tree that's coming down. And we're gonna add trees, actually.
What about the ones next to, across from Green Peak?
None of the trees, anything bigger than 6 inches will not be touched. 6 inches. You're talking the little.
No. My comment, Craig, is what you just did is an inch. 6 inches is much bigger. That's all.
Right, but there,
Because it said 6 inches, that's why I asked, but.
there's a huge white pines out there that need to be taken care of, and when you have these, when you also, in along some of the neighbor stuff, the little stuff that grows up kills the bigger ones eventually, so you have to start weeding this stuff out a little bit. There's just I call them suckers, they're just coming up out of the ground. And I think it lends itself to a unsightly corner, and I think it needs to be cleaned up.
And I think the issue is the 6 inches, maybe it could be less.
Propose whatever we propose. This is what we're here for today, is to propose it and this weekend.
I have a question. Yeah, 6 inches in circumference or diameter?
Diameter. It's just that they're just weeds that have been growing up over the years. It was clear cut, everything's been clear cut up there at one time or another. Our intention is to try to mediate the neighbors as best as possible, all around the port. We border every single resident. We have almost 20 some odd residents that we border, and we do not clear cut right to our property lines. Our property lines probably go in 30, 40, 50 feet on some parts. On the 8th fairway there, they're going in 20 feet from the edge of the trees. We're providing a 20-foot buffer of trees all the way along the line unless the owners have taken them out. And some owners have asked to take them out. And we said, it's up to you. I've had owners on the other side do vista cleaning on our properties. 4 owners that I can know about that have asked for vista cleaning on the north side of the property. And we've allowed that to happen. So everything goes the gamut. They want them in, they want them out. We deal on an individual homeowner basis.
Next is the safety of the crossing from the ticket area to tubing.
Obviously, doesn't pay for me to have an unsafe area. I think it's gonna be way safer than what is going on there to now. From the clubhouse to the tubing hill is kind of convoluted a little bit. It does interfere with some of the cross country. This will actually help with the cross country part of it too. And I think it's a clear shot. You'll be able to see from one to the other very clearly. And it's a straight shot, not around the turn type thing. And I work with the chief of police and the safety officer. And I think once it gets up and running, if there's an unsafe scenario, I think we need to change it immediately. That's, you know, some of this stuff needs to move a little bit. We're talking, you know, how in the summertime we have the crossings with the little pedestrian signs out there. There's no reason why we can't put that out in the wintertime and take it down. I mean, take it 2 seconds to put it off the side of the road, open and close. We're in the wintertime, it's holiday weeks and weekends. So it's not a big, it's like I say, 46 days or something like that.
Next is no tournaments.
At the moment, I have none proposed. I guess what would constitute a tournament. I don't envision another club coming in to do a tournament here. If that's, maybe we could define what a tournament is.
A tournament is typically an elimination contest.
Right,
Where-
but I'll just speak and we'll tweak whatever we need to tweak. I think the idea of a major tournament is not a good idea. I don't anticipate that. We do not do tournaments on the golf course except within our member tournaments. We do not invite, the course is never closed for play for like nonprofit items. I think we do one night golf thing for the hospital and that's it. We do not get the calls in for doing tournaments. And we do not like running them, and we don't have the staff to actually run them personally. Half our members, some are competitive and some are not so competitive. I think majority of our members are probably non-competitive and they can care less about tournaments or even keeping score. I think that this will transport, the same people are gonna be using this property. At certain points, maybe there might be a member tournament. I don't know. I could regulate it as far as what day of the year it is or something like that. I would like to let that be open if it's, if you want to, I think, again, let's revisit this thing in 18 months. If we do one tournament for our members only, and at the end of the year, you could say that that was like the kiss of death, then we can eliminate it, I guess. But it would definitely be in the membership thing. On top of that, you can only put 8 people out there. All right, even the golf thing, technically should only have 36, but sometimes in our club championship or our Thursday night league, we do higher than those numbers.
Bill, can I ask a question?
Please go ahead.
It's a question for Rich or Mark. Is the select board going ahead with a special events permit process?
No is the short answer.
Well, can I ask Tara, but when you say special event, you mean like not on a semi-private course, we're talking about members. We do events for members. We do not do events for anybody else.
I was asking Rich because it's something that was discussed when we worked on the zoning amendments and changed how special events were dealt with.
Yeah, no, we haven't done that yet. I mean, have we finished the draft of the special events?
No, we have to do that. That's on your work list.
Right, I didn't think we finished it,
We
right?
have
But
not
but it is something that the select board intends to do, correct?
Oh, yes, it was
Yep,
approved.
So I think that would address, in my mind, any concerns about special events and extra pedestrians and traffic and whatnot.
Yeah, you would, if you
Thank you, understand.
did a special event that was outside the normal operation. That was, I suggested, we talked about it, like 120% of our seating capacity at some point, that would trigger me coming to select.
Yeah, we're in the process of writing those regulations.
Right.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
We have special events in that area already, things like the ski joring,
Mhm.
the Special Olympics event. So public safety addresses special event pedestrian and traffic control. We're already doing that, and we've been doing it for years in this same area that we're talking about. So, and we can formalize that in this special event selectmen's regulation,
Which we're in the process of
which we're
doing,
in the process.
updating it from the
Yeah.
town meeting.
Okay. But I would also say that I don't think that special events and special event regulation is part
No,
of
no,
the.
Not for the
it's
normal,
any-
like tournaments.
As far as pedestrian safety for
Mhm.
that crossing. And again, we're gonna be redesigning that entire space. So Dave can speak to it, but I think our
Yes.
plan is to just keep the crossing that's there. And, use whatever special, like putting up the pedestrian placard and that sort of thing, until we can address it with the redoing of all of Boulder Path Road.
I think we could ask a question of the neighbor, what his definition of a tournament would be. I would put in a condition that no outside tournaments be held here.
No outside participants.
Right,
Outside participants.
right, and that would go with tournaments too, if that's what he was talking about. Where you had 60 people lined up to play pickleball. I
Yeah.
don't want that.
Yes,
I don't have the time to deal with it.
and we don't want the congestion.
And I don't want the idea is to limit the congestion, not to increase it.
Yes.
So that is not a perceivable problem with me. I just assume not do outside tournaments.
And the last item on his list was the impact of the pickleball courts on property value.
I'd be happy to pay for anybody's property that they bought. Be happy to buy it. I don't know, I don't know what to say to that question. I personally feel that I've added to the value of this valley. Whether it's monetary or just in general. I believe that what we're doing there as a business in general has added to the value of the properties. I don't see anything that's ever gonna go down. I think it's a number that's thrown out there on a lot of different hearings. And I've never seen, it's not dictated. I never seen anybody move to Natick because they had the Natick Mall there. And I don't think anybody's moved away from Natick because there's a Natick Mall there. It's a number that people kind of talk about. I think we should just take it for what its value is. I feel that I've added value to the real estate value of this town. Personally, and I have a much bigger investment than anybody in this room. My investment is huge. And I want to continue to maintain my investment. And that's one of the reasons we're actually doing this, is to maintain my personal investment. Is that it?
That is it.
Thank you.
And I'd like to take a moment to ask Dave Noyes if he would comment on what, please make any comments that you wish about the safety of the crossing at Boulder Path.
I think Mark addressed it. I think we're going to put it on the schedule to get it refreshed now, and also with the pedestrian placards. But like Mark said, I think we'd be looking at all our options once the engineering for the road gets done later in the fall and into next year, of how we would look forward to that. I agree with Craig that, using the pedestrian placard on the weekends and during the holidays in the winter are very helpful. And I think some of the ancillary lighting would be helpful there. We can work with the town public works crews to make sure there's no buildup of snowbanks at that particular crossing there, so that the sight distances are adequate. But I don't treat this any differently than any of our other crossings that we do in town. And agree that this one's probably got a little better sight distance than some of them.
Good, thank you.
And I have talked to the DPW about that painting.
Yes.
And that person is due in here in the next couple of weeks, depending on the weather,
To
to
re-
actually get the crosswalks.
Repainted, yeah, got it.
Next on the list.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to address this meeting?
You want to stand?
Yes, please, just tell us who you are and.
Sure. So, hi, everybody. I know a lot of you here. My name is Mark Whitney. I live in 12 King Lane, so I think I'm less than 200 feet from the proposed site, maybe about 200 feet. From my look at the drawings. It's the A-frame house that you see right across the 8th fairway. And I'm not a full-time resident yet, but I'm a year or two away from becoming one, and enjoying semi-retirement in the place that I've been coming to since I was born. And my family's been coming up to Waterville since the 40s. And I think I'd probably speak for everybody here that the reason I have always come to Waterville, and my kids have gone through BBTS, and we've been involved in the mountain forever. And the reason we come here is because of the serenity and the way that the town is set up, so that you don't see neon lights and you don't have gas stations, you don't have all the stuff that you get in places like Lincoln and North Conway and Weirs Beach and everything. There's nothing better than stepping out of your house and hearing the Mad River, rushing after it rains, and serenity and tranquility is one of the things that's the hallmark of Waterville Valley. And it's my understanding that the purpose and job of the select board and the planning board is to pay attention to those important values that draw people into the valley. We're here for the serenity, we're here for the hiking, we're here for the neighbors. And I know there's a lot of development going on. And I know there's big plans in the master plan, but I know that there's also tremendous attention being paid to those plans to preserve the feel of the valley. And if you think about it, we talked earlier about the dark skies concerns, and it's all very important to everybody that they can still feel like they're in Waterville Valley. And we're worried about the serenity. I know the situation with the ordinances. I know that the noise ordinances really don't address this. But if you think about all the activities that happen in the valley, everything, biking, cross country, downhill, mountain biking, road biking, hiking, it's all quiet, even golf too. And it's all complementary. And in my personal opinion, I think that installing pickleball courts in an open air kind of setting is agreeing to install a public nuisance. The majority of pickleball courts that are installed around the country are booked solid. I totally understand Craig's interest in doing this from a business perspective. People want to play it. I get it. That's great. But I think we have to balance what Water Valley is, its essence, and the desire for people to run businesses and expand their businesses and do things like this. But if any of you have friends, or if you live in towns outside of Waterville Valley currently, pickleball courts are booked solid. I live in Marblehead full-time right now, Marblehead, Mass, and we have, they've been converting over tennis courts into pickleball courts. It's a rage in town. All the courts are booked all the time. They have websites set up for people to sign up, and there's a wait list every single day. Also, you can hear the courts from very far away, even in a very busy town. One of my friends lives 2 blocks away from the courts. And it's a very tight, busy town, and you can hear the pickleball sound constantly. So I request that the personnel board, before you make decisions and make a vote, that you please spend some time to do some research if you haven't done it already. And just go online and Google pickleball sound or pickleball lawsuits and see what we're getting into. Please, I really encourage all of you. I've done this, honestly. Go to the New York Times article that, I forget what the title of it is, but I think it incorporates losing their minds and insanity, right? There's a link inside that New York Times article that you can click on, and it'll play a loop sound of what it is like to hear the pickleball sound. Please put it on in your house, turn it up to 100 decibels, and then spend 8 hours going about doing your things. And then ask yourself if this is something that we should add to Waterville Valley. I really think everybody should do that. And it is a national nightmare right now from anybody who has the unfortunate problem of being near one. I get it. You know, I played tennis my whole life, and I know a lot of tennis players are playing pickleball. It's easier to do, so older people can do it, or people that are maybe not as athletic. That's great, and I support the idea of adding it, but it should be added in the correct way and not open air. It just can't be open air, not in Waterville Valley. Some of the research I've done, and I've talked to a couple companies that actually specialize in pickleball sound analysis, and they all agree that the sound travels, they say, as far as 950 feet. Okay. And when I was asking my question outside, and we stopped it to come in here. I don't know if you remember, there was the sound of a truck backing up. That was happening way down by the academy. Right? And we could hear that beep, beep, beep sound where we were at the corner where the development is proposed. And the other day when I was in my driveway doing something, I heard the beep, beep of a truck, and it was down by what do you call it? High Country. Right? So, and like I mentioned that you could hear the Mad River in the morning, you know, like the sound echoes in the valley. We all know that. And, you know, we hear the tubing at night. And the tubing is probably 1,200 feet from my house. And it's fine because it's temporary. You know, it's a couple of hours, it's people having fun, you know, it's temporary. But as I mentioned, pickleball is so popular right now that every court that's getting installed is booked full time. And I don't know if that will end up happening here, but I would expect it would, because it's popular. I think probably Craig will add some members that want to just play pickleball and not golf that much. But it really takes its toll on the locals nearby. The other thing that's important to consider, and again, I understand the noise ordinance and the lack thereof and the problem it creates. But again, and I don't actually know this because I don't have a lot of planning board interaction experience. This is my first time, being involved in anything like this. But I would expect that you should, as planning board members, consider the concept of public nuisance. And even in the absence of ordinances, not allowing necessarily something that's automatically going to be a public nuisance. And that's what I think this will be. The sound frequencies of the pickleballs hitting the paddles is exactly in the same range that is the most annoying to the human ear. It's within the same frequency range as the truck backing up beeping sounds. Those truck beeping sounds are designed that way so that it annoys the hell out of us and we pay attention and not get run over, right? The sounds generated by these balls and rackets is the same frequency range as those beeping sounds. So all of us that are going to be within 1,000 feet of it are going to be hearing this truck beeping constantly. And I mean, obviously it's not built and we haven't experienced it yet. But if you do the research, anybody who lives next to them, they're all losing their minds. They're being driven crazy. And I would argue that matters more in a town like Waterville Valley, where we sell the fact that it's a serene and tranquil place, right? It's the town at the end of the road. So, this right that we have to quiet enjoyment and peaceful enjoyment of our properties, it exists separate and apart from whether or not there are town ordinances. It's a separate legal right that actually trumps the town ordinances. And I think as a planning board, you need to consider that. I hope you can consider that. I don't know if you're allowed to or not, but I would expect you should. So to me, the solution here is simple. And I'm fine with pickleball court, but the solution is simple, is that they should be enclosed. Put them in a building. If you put them in a building, the sound stays within the building, doesn't bother anybody, and it gives the golf course the opportunity to open it in the rain, in the snow, at night, whatever. It gives them, I appreciate it's more expensive, but you know what? Cost of doing business. And I think that if you're going to put it in here, it should be in a building, and that the planning board should require that be part of the application. So I'm sure I'm missing some points, but those are the big ones I wanted to hit. I really request that you consider those things. I know that a lot of people feel very strongly about it, and the problem is it's hard to get here at 8 o'clock in the morning sometimes for a lot of people. And so, I made a special point of coming up because I want to make sure you think about these things. This thing will be a public nuisance unless it's enclosed.
Well, thank you.
May respond to that.
Yes. Okay, open the floor to Craig to respond. And then,
I agree with Mark, there is a noise issue with them. I think it can be mediated by a couple of different items that we could do. I have actually physically had my brother, business that I sold to my brother, we put pickleballs on tennis courts. I think I went down to Hilton Head, not to look at pickleball, but I did look at them when I was down there. And they are putting them on tennis courts, left and right. And we all know this is not Hilton Head. Never will be. I think his one point that he did mention, I think is what I'm gonna hit on here, the biggest one is a balance. I think we need to balance we're all neighbors, we're all residents. We need to balance that. Some people like big dogs, some people like little dogs, some people like chocolate ice cream, and some like, you need to balance these activities. As far as the board looking into that, yes, I don't think they specifically looked at pickleball because it wasn't here 10 years ago. But in the planning boards, in your master plan, it specifically says their interaction with private enterprise businesses with open space. It specifically calls for it. And one of the things that I am struggling with to do every single day, not 200 days that we're open, but 300 days that we're 365 days, is to maintain 35 acres of open space. It's hard to do and it's getting harder by the second. And that's what we provide. That's what these activities do provide to all the residents. There's a reason why there's 79 people walking down that street. It's because it does look good. We provide flowers, we provide seating, we provide clean up the side of the roads. That's the reason why there's 79 people that walk up and down that street every day, is because it kind of looks good. And that's what I want to continue to do, is to make sure that these roads and that the property is open for everybody to look at and to maintain, but it costs money. I do not ask for the town for any money for this. I still pay taxes on the property. I'm a property tax on this. We don't get any property breaks on them. We get assessed differently, but we still pay a fair amount of taxes on it. Not to mention the insurance is huge. And the insurance is going up every hour of the day here. So I think what Mark is saying is true. I live here year round, which he's gonna do hopefully. And hopefully he will be a member of our club at some point here, if he does move here, and that we can work together to mediate this and make it all work together. It's not Hilton Head. I don't want to turn it into Hilton Head. I don't think we have any worries about turning it into Hilton Head personally, but that's, So I just think a balance is what he mentioned balanced, and I think that's the key word that I picked up on.
Bill, can I ask a question?
Yeah, so the members of the board wish to say something?
Yeah, I just had a question. And so when we were on the site, you had mentioned, a lot of pickleballs are put on tennis courts on a hard court surface, and it's louder. You were mentioning you're going to use a 6-layer.
Yeah,
that help. Can you talk a little bit about because again, balance and mediating the noise with that kind of a surface versus a hard court tennis surface?
The surface of a tennis court and a pickleball court or a basketball court, which they're all different. And they all have different feels to them. The pickleball, because the ball is harder, you need a softer surface on it. A lot of these places are just putting nets up on top of existing tennis courts and not resurfacing them, except for the lineage. And that's a mistake. And that's probably what we're hearing about on the internet, I guess. I don't know for a fact, but I will say, as far as noise goes, the town does own 2 pickleball courts at this point that are not enclosed, that are open air. And there has not been, as far as I know, I checked, there has not been a single complaint. And they are closer to those condos than the 250 feet that we're providing here today. The zoning maybe needs to be tweaked. I agree with that it needs to be, it's now 35 feet. I mean, we're providing 300 some odd feet distance from one neighbor and 250 from another.
Just my question though is it a 6-layer, like
6
you had
layers
mentioned
of
that it is
rubberized
specific
latex
for
surface
pickleball?
on top of the asphalt, yes. You're gonna feel it differently. It's like walking on carpet versus walking on a hardwood floor. It's gonna feel different. And it is a much more expensive. Every layer obviously costs money. And we're trying to do the best we can as far as that. The solid fencing, I think I would prefer solid fencing. I think we could put some styrofoam on it. We can also, what I saw is that pickleball is much different than tennis. You don't need all this movement going on. It's probably why it's popular. You can actually put landscaping bushes inside the courts if you wanted to. It's not necessary that it be a solid galvanized fence wall right up against the, courts. So I think that this needs to be played out personally. I think constructing something is much different than it's no different than remodeling a commercial building versus a building.
Okay, Tina.
2 things. I'm Tina Capel, Randy. First of all, the sound of the ball on the court is not the issue. It's the sound of the ball hitting the paddles. That's the issue. I was wondering if it would be possible, 2 things. For the planning board to take a site visit to the pickleball courts at Owl's Nest. That's the closest ones I know of that are outdoor pickleball courts. And listen, and see what you think about the sound. And two, and this is the question, is it possible for Craig to do everything, build everything, make everything look great, put styrofoam between the fence, special paddles, and see how it sounds? And have it written in someplace that if it's disturbing people and very loud for the people who live across from the golf course and, yeah, across the golf course and us across from the golf course, Craig would be required to enclose it. I'm just throwing it out, just throwing it out. Yeah, I'm just throwing it out.
Craig, do you have an answer to that?
I'd love to enclose it. It's a cost of money. All right, and maybe, and I'm just saying a big maybe here, all right? I've been talking about, this is a little outside this area. It's harder and harder, almost impossible to run a seasonal business anymore. Simple things like your cable. They bill us, they don't care if we're open or closed. We actually have 4 meters out there. They don't care if we're open and closed. We pay a meter fee of $70. Our insurance company doesn't even give a crap whether we're open or closed anymore. There are, in labor, I mean, you need to pay these people, keep them going year round. I see eventually, whether it be me or the next guy, because I mean, I only got so many years left in my life here. This business needs to run year round or gets paid year round too. I think the site visit to Owl's Nest from here is not apples for apples. I think you should go to the site plan. If you want to have a site visit, go to the 2 pickleball courts that are existent today, that are right here in town, that the town owns. I think if you really want to do a study, do those. There's the same people.
What are you
At
talking
the
about?
school.
If it's-
outside and they're only very little.
I think that these are gonna be the same.
It's
Personally, that's my take.
They're at the school.
not
Okay.
the same.
Next to this.
Brooke, do you have any comment to make about this? No, big zero, okay, but they exist and they haven't.
Used during school when school is not in session and it's very, very minimal. It's not gonna be 8 hours a day like it's going to be in front of our house.
What are the hours?
I don't know.
After school.
What are the hours?
Well, during the summer, they're open all day.
There's no
parameters about when they're open, just, daylight.
Okay,
They are used a lot more during the summer. And I have never received a complaint. But
okay, Mike,
I have to put on my other hat. I apologize. I have to put on my school board hat. Those were put in by the school.
Yeah,
it's
school property.
It is school property. Somebody asked the question of me. I would say at least 15 people. How many years ago they've been in there? 4 or 5 years,
A little longer than that.
whatever.
No, it's on paper.
Well, no. It is on the playground, which when it's given a playground, the kids play there all the time. It's got some nice stuff. in it.
It is a pickleball surface,
Right.
so.
It is, well, it's a special surface that was put on so that when you look at that surface, because it's used for basketball, it's used for kids foursquare. So it's a very special athletic surface that the school put on for that reason. I have had people come to me on the school board and complain, why didn't you do that, blah, 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 blah. And my answer is exactly that. We put it out there for the kids to use and we lined it for pickleball and everything else when the kids do not use it. I've had people come to me and complain from those condo associations. I've been up there at the gazebo or whatever it's called, up above when Tina goes up there to read or whatever. It is loud, it is annoying and everything else. It is, and that's the nature of pickleball.
Alan,
Yes, is there a reason that's been studied that the 8-foot fence is 8 feet and not 12 feet?
Most of the experience that I've seen is pickleball is actually have lower fences. In the 6-foot range. I'm putting an 8-foot because the cost to construct is not that much substantial.
Or what about 12 foot?
Has it been studied? That's all I've been.
None of this has been studied totally, because it's all within the last 3 or 4 years. My understanding, sound goes direct, and there, most of the sound is off the paddle. And that the sound goes this way, horizontal, off that paddle. It definitely is a different sound. I would equate it, like Mark says, to a backup alarm system, yes. But with an open truck on a backup, it's not mediated. I'm saying to you that if we require different upgrading paddles, because the upgraded paddles came into play and are being manufactured because of this actually issue. Is that the wooden paddles or the solid paddles that they use were causing all kinds of issues. So with a different rub, solid hollow core, whatever they are, they're like $250. It cuts it down. I don't think we're ever gonna eliminate anything. No different than people walking up and down the street. You're not gonna eliminate the dogs walking up and down the street. You just have to balance it. I do think that there are 2 courts there now. Yes, they're not maybe ideal courts. I think these are gonna be more ideal courts. Yes, I think we're gonna have probably a little bit more play than the school courts. Yes, but not what you're thinking about at Owl's Nest or anywhere else in a metropolitan. Any of this town of Marblehead where they have 50 or 60,000 people, yes, you're gonna have all kinds of congestion issues. We literally, at best, have 1,000 people living here.
I've been to Owl's Nest for golf.
Yeah.
Many times there's nobody
Yep.
playing pickleball.
Right, I don't perceive this as full on press.
Okay, I might add that this is a public hearing and it's for the public to address their concerns. It's not for the planning board will deliberate afterwards. So we want to hear from the public. Yes, you have your hand up.
William Wilson, 16 Tri-Pyramid, only representing 16 Tri-Pyramid, no one else in the association. And I understand all the concerns the others have. And we're probably just as close as any of the other neighbors, probably right in the middle of all these folks. And we support Craig on his plan. And Waterville is a resort community. It's a resort community. Recreation comes with a resort community. Craig's zoned for recreation. And 11 years ago, we made a decision to buy, we're up on the golf course end of the property. So that's why I say we're right up there. And we made a choice. We're abutters to a piece of property that's zoned for recreation. Golf comes with it, golf balls come with it. It happens. And pickleball certainly comes under recreation. And I could only imagine he could have designed a different plan that maybe a lot of us wouldn't be happy with. So we speak in favor of Craig.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Mark?
Yeah, I'd like to, could I put an application in to put in a pistol range? Because the experts that look at the sound, it makes the same sound as a pistol range. And that's recreation too, just. It's not
Just to answer, I guess it's simple. If there's a list on the zone, and this town has historically said, if it's not on the list, you can't do it. There's nothing on the list that says I can put a Ferris wheel in, so I'm probably not gonna put a Ferris wheel in. So, but you cannot put a shooting range in, and yes, a shooting range would have the same effect, or it would be a public distance, and it's not on the list.
Are there any other public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Pickleball on the list. Racket sports or not?
So that's,
Racket sports.
Oh, it's a paddle sport.
She has the floor right now.
We have a,
I'm also in Tri-Pyramid 16. I'm totally in support of renovating that whole corner.
Oh, yeah.
Where the snack bar is going to be, because I think it needs some renovation and some cleanup. So it's actually promising to hear that that whole section is going to be upgraded.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay, we can move on to the next section.
Closed.
Yes. All right, that I think is the easiest thing to do. There are no more comments from the public. I will close the public hearing.
Oh, Bill?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
as we talked about yesterday, once you close the public hearing, you can't have any more interaction with Craig. So attorney's recommendations is to have your deliberations now, you know, have a look at the draft notice that I provided you, hash that out and close the hearing when you're ready to vote.
That way you can ask questions.
Okay,
Oh, Craig.
That's good.
I can accept that recommendation. Because if I close the public hearing, then there's no more interchange. There's no more.
Even with the applicant.
Even
Right, and right, because then
Craig
the
can't talk
public,
anymore, and that means that the public can't speak either. All right, so we leave. I will rescind that decision.
so what you want to do is close the public comment portion of the hearing for now.
Oh, I didn't know that was possible. All right, so let's just say that I'm not inviting any more questions from the public gallery. But what I do have is what I want to get into is conditions. And there,
Chairman, point of order.
yes, sir.
Rick had to leave,
Yes,
so you are back down to 6.
No, he was
No,
not.
he
appointed.
he was not,
He was not
I'm sorry.
seated.
I
He was
No.
not seated.
apologize.
he was not seated. Yeah, no problem. All assistance is always welcome.
You had an alternate you didn't seat and you only have 6?
No, we have
No, we have
7,
seven.
Tara.
You have 7.
We have
Oh,
7.
I see.
What kind of 1, 2, 3,
Yep.
4?
All the tables.
All present at the table were seated and all present are able to vote. We have 7. All right, I want to deal with conditions. That is, things that have been discussed from time to time and now are part of this application. So we can begin by. There is a document that's normally produced at the time that the planning board makes a decision. That's called notice of decision.
You have copies.
We do have copies. We,
And when everybody has it in hand, I'm happy to make a few comments
Okay.
based on the discussion.
Yes, they're just, they are suggesting conditions based on the input.
Yeah, we have one extra.
Yeah.
You give it-
here, you can have mine.
No, we have
Do
one.
you
extra.
want it on the screen too?
Sure.
Bill?
Yes, please. We can simply say that from the finding of facts, this refers to the application, which is the remodeling, is what we're talking about. The existing maintenance building to add 1 food service window, tubing tickets, restrooms, 18 by 20 carport, new lighting on the building.
And
Also,
Bill, if I've been kind of making notes as I've been listening, and I'd suggest add in picnic tables and outdoor seating to that.
okay,
We'll discuss this, right, whether we think.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you'll hopefully discuss all of it. I'm just making some
yes,
thoughts
No.
based on what I heard.
the meeting is by no means over. I just wanted to establish what we're talking about. And it also includes a 20 by 20 storage garage and a 40 by 60 fenced pickleball court, expanded gravel parking areas, associated drainage improvements, post-top lighting at the entrance, a split rail fence on either side of the entrance, and landscaping. And that's what the board will deliberate. The site is a recreational district where sports facilities are permitted use. and retail and restaurants are allowed as accessory use. And one problem I might address to what Mark had to say is that, yes, there is no ordinance that deals with the principal problem that has been raised. The board's purpose is to uphold the ordinances. That is, I can't invent an idea which will suffice the notion of how to deal with pickleball noise. We can introduce new ideas that will turn into proposals or changes to the ordinance through proposals for the town meeting. That's the procedure we would have to follow if this is an ongoing problem. So I'm not trying to suggest that there's no sensitivity to the questions that you raised. What I am saying is that you point to the board and say, I want to use the board to help me solve a problem that I don't want to see in Waterville. And that's not what the board is here to do. We're here to uphold the ordinances that exist. And I got to deal with that. I'm not asking you to comment. I'm just saying that that's our circumstance.
Is the board required to consider the general legal concept of public nuisance?
I don't
Bill,
know.
Bill, do you want me to chime in on that?
Yes, please.
New Hampshire courts have made clear that planning board decisions have to be clearly based on the specific language of your regulations, which in this case is the zoning ordinance. And the purpose statements really on the bottom half of page 1 of your site plan regs is the only criteria that you can look at. There've been recent cases involving Hanover and Dartmouth College where the planning board tried to substitute their own opinions and feelings and those of the residents, and the board was shot down. That's been what Bill just said has been clarified in recent court cases.
May I add something too?
Yes.
The noise ordinance that does exist, I want to make it plain, we do have a noise ordinance. And it does encompass the idea of public nuisance in certain parts of it. Specifically paragraphs 3, 4, and 5, I believe, like 3B, for example.
Which is enforceable by the select board.
Through its code enforcement powers.
And the police, because they're based on state law, not on definitions within
Okay.
our ordinance.
Understood.
We did not expand on state law.
But what I was addressing specifically is that it's not the planning board's responsibility to deal with this particular.
But we can't.
We can't, yeah.
That's correct.
But there is, what I was trying to suggest is that there is a procedure that can be followed in order to address it further by bringing forward ordinance proposals at town meeting.
But not for this
That wouldn't
Having-
be retroactive though.
Correct. Does not apply.
It does not apply to what's being done right now.
It'll apply in the future.
They never
Yeah.
will.
Right, but we can agree to things, even if it's down the road or right here today, you can expand on these conditions. And if I agree to them and we get it voted on, that's perfect.
Yeah, I'm gonna advise the board not put language in conditions that aren't based on the regulations, but instead have the things that you've agreed to, Craig, be in the findings of fact. And I assume that Craig has a copy as well.
Yes.
So what I've tried to do in there is word it, that the applicant has stated these things rather than make them conditions.
Yes, and we have to deal with them as facts so that when we vote, that the conditions that are applied are the ones that will be observed. That is, we don't want to be, flexible and leave things in the air. We want it to be at
I
least
can
fixed.
amend these right this second.
It could be amended before we vote.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And
Okay.
that's what I would say to the neighbors.
Okay, hold on. Mark?
Yeah, I just a question. You mentioned that public nuisance is in some aspect of the ordinance or regulation.
In various paragraphs, yes.
But that, I guess what I don't understand is why then can't this board consider it? Is it another board?
No, there's no other board. For example, if you look at paragraph 3B, it talks about yelling, singing, whistling, and one other thing I forget, anytime and any place. That's dealing with that's a public nuisance based aspect of our noise ordinance. There's also car noise, from any time of day, from a stationary or you think a moving car, if I'm not mistaken. However, there are other elements in there that are more specific to Waterville Valley, such as construction activity. So it's based on state law, as all our regulations must be. It does make some variations for what we want. This was approved by the town. The latest iteration of the noise ordinance was approved by the town. It was 2 years ago, yeah. And at this point, there is nothing in our noise ordinance that speaks to daytime noise any place, anytime, except involving a car or yelling, whistling, singing, and shouting. I think that was the other one. And that's just the state of
And
play.
that's based on state law. That's the same wording that's in the.
Statutory state law.
Statutory, yeah.
And it's between the hours of 10 and 8 in the, 10 at night and 8 in the morning.
9 AM.
10 at night and 8 in the morning.
Well, but it varies from that. If you read, if you do have 3B in front of you,
Mhm.
3 talks about between 10 and 8, Monday through Friday, and 10 and 9, Saturday and Sundays and holidays, right, I believe. But if you look at 3B, there's a clause that says anytime, any place. If you want to read it, I think it'll make it plain.
Can I just,
So anyway, it does not apply to.
But that's
this
the
use.
point.
It's not the nature of this.
Of this board.
That's right, and this particular application in front of us now.
I think, can I speak about Rita? This is a ordinance for the neighbors. It's something that's not grandfathered. You can change, we can go to town meeting and change these ordinances, or as long as it's like, and then they have to be upheld. But it would have to be a town meeting vote. But there is no grandfathering laws on town ordinances. So.
No, I
to
agree.
answer the question is.
Not right.
You know, true. It's 100% true. All right, and you can change the noise ordinance at a town meeting through the selectmen, and that would be the law of the land in this town.
We could not, an ordinance cannot retroactively apply.
Right.
So that's why grandfathering comes in. If
If I yelled before this, I can't yell after this.
that's correct, but if we decide at
That's a
some point,
precondition, that's what you're saying.
if the town decides at some point to, for example, create a decibel level
Right.
for noise during the day, we can't grandfather that to the activities that have already been approved by the.
My understanding,
planning board.
it's not grandfather if it's a reasonable deal. And it has to be approved by town meeting.
Well, I'll leave that to lawyers.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't actually know on noise ordinances. I think Craig might be right.
We could let the
We
lawyers,
can let the, we.
the lawyers deal with
Yeah.
that. That's not what we have. in
It's
front
like
of us.
Board of Health, it's not a grandfathering item.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is try to proceed and try to get through this. Okay. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, Tara. So you're saying that if we're interested in having the information that Craig said that he's happy to promise about noise mitigation in the document, it has to be under findings of fact, and it cannot, under any circumstances, be under conditions subsequent. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so we can add in like noise canceling along the entire interior of all 4 walls, and requiring and posting sound lowering paddles and balls.
Of course.
Okay, I mean, why don't we add that?
As a
If,
condition.
if he's there agreeing to that, you can list it under findings of fact that the applicant has agreed to X. Yes.
I mean, it sounds like the best we can do, and Craig's happy to do it, and
And I
To
think
start.
revisiting it in 18 months is not a bad idea.
Sure. I
Yeah,
think
there's no way to do that really.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to write that into this.
Right, this is what it is, so if Craig is, anything Craig is agreeing to on the record, which shows up in the minutes, make sure the minutes match, we can put in findings of fact that the applicant has stated his intention to whatever.
And that could also include his intention to bring this back to the planning board for review. At some
No, no, once it's approved, it's approved. There, you don't have any basis in your regulations to require him to come back.
No, we don't want to require him to come back. I'm saying that there could be a statement in there that said Craig is willing. Craig has stated that.
But he'd be coming back to talk about noise, which you're not authorized to talk about.
You could
That-
maybe go to the Board of Selectmen rather than enforce.
Okay.
But.
Yeah,
you know,
I've
I
encountered
don't
this.
know what the selectmen would be able
either.
to just enforce.
I just
Whatever
wanted to
they-
properly reflect the fact that he is flexible. And he has stated that he is flexible and wants to be responsive to the concerns of his neighbors.
Okay, but in my opinion, we have to leave it at that. That is,
Well, I think we need to add words into.
So
the
what,
finding.
what words is Craig agreeing to, say, to add to number 5 or add another number here?
Well, like in number 8, where it's talking about surrounded by a solid wood fence, it'll be 8 foot high on the side facing the abutting residential properties. Probably should be on 3 sides, with the 4th facing the road being 4 foot high. I mean, we should be more specific, shouldn't we?
Yeah,
And-
I wasn't sure which side, so the 3 sides.
Yeah,
This
And
is
then-
just a draft. This is what we need to do now.
exactly. And then we should add, before we talk about plantings, that the entire interior of those fences, all 4 sides should be lined with soundproofing material. It doesn't have to be
Sound
purpose-built,
mitigation.
expensive stuff.
Well, we can't say should here. We need to
sound-
say the applicant stated that his intention is to do this.
Okay,
Sound mitigating or,
sound mitigating.
mitigating.
Yeah, that's a good word.
yeah. Or noise mitigating. I don't know what the proper,
Yeah, not even sure.
but the intent, whatever, but that's the intent. I mean.
Right. And then somewhere.
Yes.
there's
Wait,
a-
I'm still typing, Nancy.
it was my intention to enumerate these for the record.
Go down 1 through,
Yeah, to go through 1 through 11
okay.
Okay,
and
Okay, so you're just gonna read through them and we should comment.
I
or wait
think
for your
so. In
comment?
Yeah.
fact, Morgan,
like
you
that.
want something to do?
I'll read.
Yeah, you're the best reader we have here.
All right, so are we starting at findings of fact?
Yes,
Okay,
okay, I did number 1.
okay, so number 2, the site is in the recreation district where sports facilities are a permitted use and retail and restaurants are allowed as accessory uses.
That,
Yep, go on.
3, a duly noticed site visit was held on May 30th, 2024, at which a quorum of the planning board was present. 4, the site plan application was accepted as complete on blank, blank, blank,
Not today. You just say May 30.
Make their-
May 30th.
yeah, I have it on the screen and I filled that in.
Perfect,
Okay,
thank
good
you.
enough.
And a duly noticed public hearing was held on May 30th, 2024. The applicant has stated, this is number 5, the applicant has stated that his intention is to limit the use of the pickleball courts to members and to limit use to the hours between 9 AM and dark.
could I'd like to have a discussion
Yeah,
of number
okay, go
5.
ahead.
Dark can be different for different people,
Yeah.
so perhaps we should have a more sunset,
Sunset
because
or.
something that's
Yeah,
that's
'cause
definitive.
That's measured. We know what it is.
Civil twilight,
Well, do we want to do civil twilight or do we want to do sunset? For example, on June 20th of this year, which is a summer solstice, sunsets at 8:20. But civil twilight's about another hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half later.
okay, what is Craig stating his intention is?
Craig, what are you stating your intention is?
An hour before sunset.
An hour before sunset.
It's when your lights are supposed to go on. That's
Yeah.
what. when
Okay,
driving.
I'm happy with that.
So whatever the official sunset is for Waterloo
Yes,
Valley on that
because it
day.
is a measured and it's
So
numbered.
instead of dark, we change an hour
We know what
before
it is.
sunset.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Hour before sunset.
And someone, I did not, the other part of that was to members, there were some questions that folks had. Does anyone want to comment?
Do members get guests and is that part of it?
We do like a household membership gets 4 guest passes, that includes golf and pickleball. A couple membership gets 2 passes. And the passes are dictated by us, basically. There's been a ongoing discussion of what a guest is. My idea of a guest is like your high school buddy coming in to play or visiting your brother-in-law, not your next door neighbor. All right, we've had problems with people bringing their next door neighbor in that are taxpayers in Wilton Town and they're calling them guests. Our idea is to generate memberships, not.
Do you have an official
Yes, we
definition
do
of
some
guest?
membership form and that's not gonna change. Singles don't get anything. Couples get 2, households get 4.
Okay,
For membership agreement?
There's an
or it's 2
application.
members
Annual
per
membership.
membership agreement.
Yeah,
What do you want to change this to?
just mirror the application that we have on record, I guess.
Yeah, to members and their guests as
Per the membership.
per the membership agreement.
In place today.
Okay, number 6.
Number 6, 2 tanks will be installed to manage stormwater. The size and location will be determined by the applicant and his contractor at the time of construction based on soil conditions. 7, the 2 existing lights on the building will be replaced and 2 post top lights will be installed at the entrance.
Yeah, can we add that they could be rated dark sky?
Compliant with our dark sky.
And so I have that in conditions because that's something you can require.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
okay, cool.
Alright, number 7. Number 8. The pickleball courts will be surrounded by a solid wood fence that will be 8 feet high on the 3 sides facing abutting residential properties. The applicant stated that his intention is to line the fence with noise mitigating material. Additional plantings will be installed between the courts and the residential properties.
And on the 4th side, it'll be 4 foot high and also lined. We should make sure that's in there, because there's certainly a lot of people facing that.
On the roadside.
Yeah.
On the roadside is 4
On the
feet.
boulder path side. Okay, carry on.
As much lining as will be good.
Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, she's typing
Can't see.
currently.
Thanks, Tara.
She's typing this, but
I'm a very slow typer, sorry.
No, all the time you need. Get it right. Okay, so now,
I have another subsequent question, which is none of these others deal with sound. Should we add the ball and paddles to this, or should we make a different one? Different.
it's not a condition we can place, so it would be a finding of fact.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering whether it goes on 8 or whether we just make it 12.
that the applicant has stated he will,
Yeah, we can make it 12.
okay.
Why don't you make it 9? She can just do a return and make it
Okay.
number 9.
Yeah, put it with the other noise things.
I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking.
So what is he stating?
That he's gonna post the requirement that sound mitigating paddles and balls should be used at all times.
Required?
Yeah, that they're required.
Required.
You can even sell them.
And that he's putting in a particular, I don't know what it's called exactly, but a particular.
Well, it's a regulation, it's what they're, if you construct a pickleball from scratch, this is what they highly recommend.
Is there a name for it or?
I don't know, I didn't get that part.
The surface.
The surface is
will
called
be by regulation.
Prescribed regulation pickleball surface.
Okay.
I
Okay,
think
so
they-
the applicant has stated his intention to require, well, no, yeah, go with install first.
What are we calling it? Regulation pickleball surface?
Yes.
Yeah, start there.
Material, we're talking about the materials we're trying to get at.
It's a
there.
rubberized material.
Yeah.
The surface. On the
Surface.
surface.
Surface material.
As well as limiting, requiring,
The
We should
use.
probably add any sentence.
this is hard.
This could be-
Sound mitigating paddles, I mean.
Paddles and balls, because
And
you can
balls.
get different balls.
Yeah, you
I
can
would
get
put-
sound
put
mitigating
Richard
paddles
Best
and balls.
Fine, because I think this is gonna progress further down the road that we don't know about today.
Yeah, so just
Yeah.
any generic sound mitigating. we don't-
Technological
Paddles and
development.
balls.
Can't specify.
Perfect. Okay, so number 9 now reads, the applicant has stated his intention is to install regulation pickleball surface material and require the use of sound mitigating paddles and balls.
Okay, that's good.
All right, now number 10. There are currently drainage issues on Boulder Path Road causing some stormwater from the roadway to flow onto the applicant's property. The town will be having the road reconstructed over the next 2 years, resolving the drainage issue draining issue will be part of that work.
I have a quick question, not, and maybe this might even go back, do we have to mention anything about the signs posting, this is for members only, or? Does that need to be in?
No, the applicant stated his intention to post signs with the requirements.
Well, we already said that his intention is to limit it to members. I'm not sure what your basis would be for getting that specific about signs.
It does have to be signs, it could be an employee standing there.
Right, and there isn't really a base, again, queasy about what the basis for that one is in your regulations.
Okay.
What I would like to back up and insert somewhere before we get to the end is, and you think about where it should go, but I think the town's intention to adopt, special event regulations is probably important in the findings of fact too. Because that's why we're not putting a condition in about special events, because the town's gonna do it a different way.
Craig, would it be okay to say that the applicant recognizes that the town is currently working on special event regulations and?
Well, Mark, we don't have to tie all these to what the applicant thinks. The town's going to do this, right? I guess I would put it as a new 10 that the select board is. The select board intends to adopt special event regulations.
They've already been,
in-
they just haven't been written completely yet.
Yeah,
What?
the concept has been
approved at town
we just
meeting.
haven't written
We haven't
the
written
regulation.
what we worked on.
You can put a finding of fact that I intend to follow.
Abide by the special event regulations that are developed by the town, by the select board.
It's this, when can we say the select board's intent is to adopt them? That's what I would put.
Yeah, probably before the end of the year, Tara.
So the select board is drafting special event regulations.
So town staff is for select board review based on town meeting approval.
Town meeting didn't, well,
Approved,
that's another conversation, but
okay.
town meeting didn't have to. Town staff is developing special event regulations.
It's actually modifying the one, but it doesn't.
I didn't think you had any yet.
We've been,
We're fine.
all right, we'll develop them, even though we've been doing them.
Town staff is developing special event regulations for adoption by the select board, which will address safety concerns related to any large tournaments.
Next weekend? I wanna do it one second.
No, it's not to do with special events.
I didn't follow that exactly.
Neither did I.
Yeah, and I think his intention was not to have any outside tournaments.
Yes.
Right, no outside tournaments, but even if it, well, but I don't think you have a basis for holding him to that, do you?
If it's a
No.
basic of fact, I can put anything.
Yes.
Outside use, rather than tournaments, it's the
Right.
outside use.
Nobody other than members.
That's right.
Well,
Right, so if the Special Olympics asked to use a tournament site, I can easily say no.
Hmm.
Then I'm happy to say no.
That would be so.
But if you, yes, a special event.
Whatever, I don't think you wanna,
No, I'm just saying, that's what we're trying to
it's
capture.
a finding of
I think
fact.
we can just end the sentence here if you're not, see, you can't, if Craig
like-
says something is his intention and it's not tied to town regulations, it's just his intention and you can't enforce it. We're just trying to say, here's the basis for why you're making this decision and approval.
I
Because
get
here's
you.
where things stand right now. So I think town staff is developing special event regulations is a fact that we're considering, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now,
Okay.
number
11.
Where are
11.
we, Madam Reader?
Um, pedestrian circulation and safety will also be considered as part of the road redesign. The Director of Public Works and Director of Public Safety evaluated the current crossings and will have the crosswalks repainted and pedestrian warning signs placed and maintained on Boulder Path Road and Snows Mountain Road in the meantime. Okay,
In the meantime, what is that?
Until the road redesign happens.
Road redesign.
Sign,
cost.
okay, thank you. All right,
all right.
thank you.
And then 12, an error in the zoning ordinance was discovered by town staff during the review of this application. Quote, Boulder Way in the ordinance refers to Boulder Path Road, meaning that the required 25-foot setback between structures and Boulder Path Road for this project is measured from the edge of the traveled way rather than the edge of the right-of-way. There is a 5-foot setback between off-street parking and the rights of way of Boulder Path Road and Snows Brook Road. And in parentheses, zoning ordinance section 4.E.1.E. I don't know how to say that.
That's
That's good enough.
That's everything.
That's good enough.
There were several other items, Mr. Chair, that the public brought. I don't know if they go on to findings of fact or conditions subsequent. Can we discuss those now, or are we going in a different direction at this point?
No, the next is to talk about the conditions.
Would you like me to read them?
Well, just as a point of order, can Rich list off the things that he has and
I think so.
you can determine if
Where
they're
it goes.
findings
Yeah.
or.
So there was a question about hours and days that the pickleball courts would be open. As I understood Craig's response, it was when the golf club is open.
Yes.
Is that a finding of fact, the intention, or is that something that we will make a condition? In other words, the pickleball courts cannot be open
If the golf course is not open.
if the golf course is not open.
So because there isn't really a basis in the regulations, I guess I'd add that up to number 5 in the findings of fact.
Finding of fact,
I'd call it a fact, yes.
okay, that the intention was, all right.
It's his intention to do it this way. Yeah.
Very good. There was a question also about, and this may come under conditions,
So
subsequent-
this, I've just put a
Sorry.
comma and said on the days the golf course is open, is that?
okay, yeah.
Yes,
Concerning seating for the snack bar. Would that be a condition subsequent?
I added that up here to the findings of fact so that it would now say had one food service window with picnic tables. And I added with seating to the pickleball court.
So, but these would not be, conditions subsequent, this would be a finding of
That's a-
fact that this is.
I
the
added
intent.
it to the description in number 1 in findings of fact.
Yeah,
okay, I think that's
I think that's fine.
okay,
As long as it's covered.
satisfactory, yes.
So I'm thinking through, sorry if I may. If you have people waiting for the pickleball courts for their scheduled time or whatever, where are they going to sit? Will there be
I think-
benches?
I
Will they
thought
be-
that's what he was talking about with seating, pickleball courts with seating.
Okay,
Bench or
I think a
something?
couple of benches over there, but nothing exorbitant that we raised.
Yeah, in other words, you're gonna see what happens. That's how I interpret this.
That's
Right,
all.
I'm concerned about putting, if we say benches and he wants to put in a couple Adirondack chairs is,
Yeah.
as far as
Yeah.
seating.
seating for people waiting to play,
Yeah,
but they're not for people to observe.
Well, they might bring their friends to watch. Why might they not?
So we're, that,
don't
well,
care
that,
if somebody
that was
does
a
say
question,
watch
that was a
application.
question mark at the end of my.
Why not? What in your regulations would
To stop them from doing
make
it.
that matter?
Okay,
It was a question,
Fire enough.
okay.
just making sure we have it
So
straight.
I have a question for the minutes, as we've already stated some of these and now we're changing them. Do you need to restate them again, or am I just gonna go?
The
with
findings
what
of facts.
Correct.
You're gonna attach the
Yeah.
notice of decision to the
Okay.
minutes.
Okay,
No, no,
I just
no,
wanna
no.
make sure.
Just the corrected version.
The version that they vote on, just incorporate it in the minutes by reference and attach it.
Okay, so once we go through all the end version, that's what I'm putting in. Great, thank you.
Right.
That's it. I think that covered.
Okay, conditions
everybody-
precedent.
Oh, wait, there was one more.
Go ahead.
There was a issue with tree removal, less up to 6-inch
Hmm.
diameter.
I don't think
I'm just raising, I want to make sure we address all the
I.
issues raised by the
That a
public.
property owner has the ability to do what they want with respect to trees.
That is true, correct.
Yes,
And
but.
so that's one of the few things mentioned in your site plan regulations, though, is preservation of natural features to the greatest extent possible. So if you, if you had a reason to wanna put that in the conditions, you could.
It's also, I think, a finding of fact, because it is the privilege of the property owner to do as he wants with his trees.
Well, you've kind of already, said that by accepting his landscaping plan as a list instead of a drawing.
I accept.
So we passed on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So we had another possible?
Yes, Jim?
Greg is okay, we comply with future noise ordinances. Can we make that a line item as well?
It's a finding of
And not
fact.
be grandfathered in?
I believe by
Recent-
law, it's, an ordinance is different than a zoning bylaw. Zoning bylaw change would be grandfathered in, like if you outlawed racquetball sports, I would be grandfathered in, I think. If you change the noise ordinance, if it was a reasonable noise ordinance, I don't see how I'm not grandfathered in on something like that. That's because you gotta remember, the town started in 18 something. So your noise ordinance is way.
So a selectmen's
that.
ordinance, so we're talking about a selectman,
not
that's
a
what the noise
grandfathered
ordinance
item.
is. So
It has to
that,
be voted on at town meeting.
okay, let me, yeah, Tara, just selectmen ordinances. Can we reject a grandfathering argument against applying a revised selectmen ordinance?
There is
That was
no-
too many corners for me to think around in the morning, but I think you could put a condition subsequent that he'd comply with the town's noise ordinance
you
as
never-
amended.
Hang on.
Wait. So we could put conditions subsequent that the applicant abide by the town, the selectmen's noise ordinance, period? Is that what
No,
you're saying?
that's not what I said. I said, with, as amended, so that it's clear that if it changes, he'd abide by.
Comma as amended, what I said, comma as amended?
You have to remember, we get licensed every year. And if the things change, we have to change it
Right.
with them.
So the owner shall comply with the town noise ordinance, comma, as amended.
Yes. I think that's law. I don't.
That's so just responding, and I think that's the best we can do.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that that there should be something in the zone, this zone for noise. Without a doubt. I mean, like I say, I can cancel my Six Flags. Or Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus coming in next
Yeah.
month, but
No, they don't exist anymore.
I think, you need to have something in there. You have changed the event thing that took out the camping for 8 days, which I thought was stupid. So that's gone. That's not a grandfathering item. I mean, so once that's gone, that's gone.
Right.
And it has been gone because the town voted on.
So I think if the town votes on some sort of agreeable noise ordinance, and it's a vote of what I have to comply. It's simple
So
as that.
so I'm asking the board to look at number 6, as we talked about. Is that what you'd like to see? The owner shall comply with the town noise ordinance as amended.
Fabulous.
Can we say that as a statement of fact?
No,
can we-
I put it as a condition
Subsequent?
subsequent. I think that's a fine thing.
Okay, great, thank you.
But I think that answers Jim's question.
Yep.
Yeah. Once the town decides that there is a noise ordinance,
Yes, I have
He
to
must
comply.
it complies.
Right, and it's enforceable now as part of the site plan approval.
As is, right.
Okay, proceeding to condition precedent. Madam Reader.
All fees must be paid before this approval will be considered to be final. The plan will not be signed until that time.
And
Condition
I'll have
subsequent.
one more invoice based on the length of this morning's discussion, and I'll get it to Alicia this afternoon.
God help us. All right. Condition subsequent.
Number 1, no structures are to be placed or constructed within the setbacks, including any portion of the pickleball courts and fences over 3 feet in height. Okay. Have any of these numbers changed, Tara? Well, as we've been talking?
No, we just.
Well, the
added
3
one.
feet in height is based in the zoning. So no,
Okay.
none have changed. They're all based in the zoning.
2, no portion of the parking area may be closer to the edge of the right of way than 5 feet. Number 3, all lighting, was there discussion? No.
No.
Number 3, all lighting and signage shall be in conformance with the zoning ordinance requirements in effect at the time of installation.
Again, do we want to put anything in about as amended, if, you know, if we're working on a dark sky initiative?
But that would
No,
be
you can't.
grandfather.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why I said in effect at the time of installation, so that it's clear that if you strengthen the regulations, future lighting needs to comply with that.
Number 4, all stormwater runoff generated on this property must be managed on the property. If stormwater from the parking area or pickleball courts is observed to flow onto or pool up within the town road right of way following completion of the town's road reconstruction project during rain events, other than extreme events where flooding is widespread, the owner shall be required to retain an engineer within 30 days to design improvements to the drainage and install the recommended improvements within 6 months. The town must provide notice of the need to design and install improvements by certified mail.
We will have that conversation as we're doing the design. We're gonna involve Craig because of the changes.
Okay.
So we'll find it out.
Number 5, food service shall be limited to traditional snack bar menu, prepared foods and beverages. No alcoholic beverages are to be sold at this location.
Like to amend the word traditional. Things might change. As far as taste go, the menu go. I think non-alcohol is the big key thing. That's pretty cut and dry, that won't change.
What's a non-traditional snack bar?
Well,
I don't know, that's Craig's language from his application.
Okay,
Just
so
take
just
the
remove
word traditional out.
Snack bar.
Proceed without the word traditional.
Be whatever it is today.
Yes.
Just using Craig's language.
People are willing to
Yeah,
buy
that's
is what it
okay.
is.
We could do
Thank you,
another
Tara.
field trip.
Okay,
Just have.
And then.
all right.
We have a 6.
6, the owner shall comply with the town noise ordinance as amended. Revision of any conditions shall be preceded by a duly noticed planning board public hearing. This
And I
approval shall.
added that, I don't always put that in, but I could foresee, you know, a phone call or email to me in the future that asks if he can be given wiggle room about the stormwater, for example. So I wanted it right in here that, you'd have to have it would have to come back to you for a hearing to change any of the conditions.
Okay,
This
Carol.
approval shall be null and void if the condition precedent has not been met by,
And that's for you to fill in. How long do you want to give him to pay the fees?
2 years.
No,
No, seriously.
for fees, paying the fees.
Oh, 4 years. I just wanna let you know, that some of these things like that 20 by 22 or whatever garage thing might be 2 years down the road. And that's not gonna happen tomorrow.
But that's, it's only the condition precedent, which is the fees,
We're just talking about
the fees for applications.
fees, couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
Do you wanna say June 30th?
Sounds good,
Just
yeah,
say June
June
30th.
30th.
My invoices are payable within 30 days, so that's,
So this approval shall be null and void if the condition precedent has not been met by June 30th, 2024. Unless an extension has been granted by the planning board at a duly noticed public hearing.
Which we will have in June.
Yeah,
yeah, you always want to do that.
duly noticed in the first sentence is hyphenated and it's not in the second. I don't know
Yeah, it
what's.
should be. Thanks.
So I propose that before we close the meeting, the public meeting and deliberate, I need a 2-minute break.
We've already closed the public meeting.
No, we didn't.
No, it's still open until this part is finished.
Before you, one thing, on the findings of fact are on number 5, what Craig said was
Disappoint,
the members,
Morgan.
according to the application, are the members as it exists today, the definition of members. Do you remember exactly what you said?
No, but my intention is to have a single membership application, or a single golf membership, club membership, whatever you wanna call it. My intention is not to do a 2 separate tiered membership, meaning
Right.
strictly a pickleball membership and strictly a golf membership. So, how we proposing it is that it's a single membership status with an accessory use.
So again, it's members
What-
as defined today.
Yes, I would.
Okay,
Or
Tom?
actually, I didn't bring it with me, but I could submit the application.
Well, I said per the membership agreement, that's not
It does,
adequate.
yeah,
It does.
per membership agreement as of today.
Yes,
That's what I'm saying.
yes, that's.
He can
Well,
change,
what's the planning board's basis for? What's the planning board's concern there?
No, it's a fact. I mean, it's
it's
my,
a statement of fact, yeah.
yeah, that's all that is.
I
But
just,
well,
if he changes the membership agreement next month to allow 30 guests per member,
Right.
we don't want that, that's not acceptable.
That's not what was proposed.
But what
Right.
basis do we have to restrict his membership and how he uses it?
Right.
yeah, I hear that you personally care about that, but I'm not seeing in the regulations the planning board's basis for caring about it.
Some of the stuff that we're talking about, am I agreeing to, I mean, is if there was a potential lawsuit down the road by an aggrieved party. Is that a judge would look at this and say, you know, that this is what the intent was.
Okay.
So some of the stuff we are doing in here a lot of it has to do with potential lawsuit items. If it wasn't that in case, we would just have a 1-line item here.
I mean, I
So
think
I
just,
think it should be the fact as I'm representing it as that, the intent is that, and I don't think if the intent changes, I'll be back here.
right.
Simple.
The fact is the applicant stated this thing,
Right.
period.
Come back if we find out. I think what Mark talked about was, I mean, I didn't think about it, but, an enclosed structure. You know, I'm thinking I'm kind of a construction guy, so I mean, I'm trying to think how I could do how cheap I could do this, and I would definitely have to come back.
I thought per the membership agreement was a little
Yeah.
bit beyond what we needed to be putting
I gotta
in.
put it on record, it is available today.
Current membership.
Yes, as of this day.
Just say come.
So the board wants this to read what?
Limit use of pivot to, members and guests per the current membership agreement. What he stated.
Okay,
So next I would propose closing the public hearing. Okay, without any further comment, the public hearing is hereby closed. So that means that closing the public hearing, the planning board meeting continues, but there will be no more questions, and Craig will have no opportunity to make any further comments now that it's closed. The board may choose to deliberate and vote on the application at this meeting, or deliberate and vote at the next public meeting in June. What would the board choose to do?
Let's just deliberate now and vote now.
Yeah.
Deliberate and vote.
Deliberate and vote. Very well. And we will proceed to do that. We've had an evaluation of facts. Are there any comments from the board? We're losing members quickly. But are there any comments before I ask for a motion?
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll. Well, we could do it without Rich's vote, but,
We make a motion to.
okay, then is there a motion concerning the approval of the application before us?
So moved.
As amended, can we say?
Okay.
As amended.
I could say, I like that,
So
Margaret.
it'd be good to reference this notice of decision and the conditions contained in it in your motion
Yeah, I think
for
we'd like-
Alicia.
Yeah, it's amended on the screen, right there.
Okay, but would somebody like to reiterate the motion, please?
I move that we approve this application as amended in our discussions today and reflected in the new notice of decision.
Fair enough.
I'll second that.
Kathy seconds. I'll go around the table, ask for a roll vote.
No, we lost one.
Yeah, we can't.
We, yes, by the time Rich comes back, I'll reach his place.
Oh, you're really moving.
Uh,
Okay.
We need you.
So we have moved to accept as amended based on our discussion and notice of decision.
So we're voting.
And then the motion has been seconded, and now I'm gonna call for a roll vote.
That was a quick decision.
Alan,
Alan Burko, aye.
Margaret Turner, aye.
Nancy Knight, aye.
Bill Spence, aye.
Morgan Dean, aye.
Catherine Brennan, I.
Retreat, aye.
The application has been approved.
And I'm gonna send Alicia this file right now. Bill, you can sign it before you leave the building.
Okay,
Good doobie.
Mark, you know.
Missed
the vote.
You missed the vote. You can go now.
I wasn't voting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd be happy to sign it. Do I hear a motion to
Motion
adjourn?
to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion accepted, meeting adjourned.
You're such a good doobie to come back.
I was gonna try to log in and get, we're trying to save the time.
Thank you, Tara.
5 minutes.
But there-
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Tara.
Yeah, most helpful as
I
always.
think she's gone.
Yeah.
I can tell her
Sing
that.
her praises.
Mark,
Oh, yeah.